Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for everybody being here, especially after I know a very late night in the General Assembly last night, working really hard to kind of get this budget across the line, and that's why we're here today. But I do want to thank the Speaker for his leadership, along with the Senate President, and the partnership for collaboration through this budget, which extends to the members that are here today, our chairman, chairs of the finance, along with Leader Pearson. So it is a true team effort, and budgets are negotiated, and I'm very pleased where we ended up in terms of the budget that has been approved by the General Assembly over the last week and last night in particular. So I also really would like to give a shout out to the members of our administration that have worked on this budget in a real significant way, and the meetings that we've had all during the process. Thank you to the directors, and also the both at the Department of Administration and the Budget Office as well. I'm not going to name each and every one of them, but you know who you are, and you know that I do appreciate the work that you've done over the last year into this budget cycle. So we're here to sign a budget today, which we're calling a Rhode Island Ready budget. We'll position Rhode Island to be ready to continue the remarkable economic momentum that we've all built together. So let's talk about some of the victories or the wins in this particular budget. I see Chris Kearns there, and he's let me know that this is probably the most active energy efficiency budget that has been in the time that he's been in government. So I want to thank the General Assembly for really following through on one of those main goals that we have in terms of energy efficiency, and the goals that we've set for 2030, 40, and 50. So that is a big win for the people in the state of Rhode Island. We've made investments in our cities and towns. And I see some of our municipal leaders here. Mayor De Silva, thank you for being here. But the idea of local road improvements is really a key piece for us as a livability measure in the state. And I've been at signing compact after compact on our 365 learning program, and every community I'm going to are making provisions in their budgets to actually do more road improvements than we've ever seen before. So in total, with the money that's in the budget, we'll have over $60 million of local road improvements as a direct result of this budget. Creating a cybersecurity school at Rhode Island College and funding the Hope Scholarship. All are remarkable achievements, and we thank the General Assembly for that support. This is so important for the future of our state schools and their students. This budget also preserves hundreds of at-risk pre-K seats, increases K through 12 education funding, includes dollars to expand out-of-school learning opportunities, and some really good policy that has to do with working with our special needs students, and also our language, the ESL learning students as well. That's a first, and thank the Commissioner for that, for her leadership that's here right now, and we know that's one of the 3 priorities that we have in the state, which is raising academic outcomes, raising incomes, and making sure we're healthy enough to enjoy living in this great state that we live in. And from day one, the Speaker and Senate President and I have prioritized addressing housing, not just with words, but with actions. And it was tough to keep up with the Speaker on it, to tell you the truth, because he was leading the charge from his seat, and we were trying to make sure that we were contributing in every way that we could, but this budget does reflect in a very important way issues that have to do directly with housing. There's so much good in this budget that I could go on and on. We created a new statewide low-income housing tax credit. We have provided energy relief in the winter season next year. We've provided through the leadership on the Senate side a tangible tax relief to help our small businesses. We've eliminated a tax on the litter tax to help thousands and thousands of businesses in the state of Rhode Island, and send a signal that we're going to continue to put in budgets going forward to help make our state more and more small business friendly. This budget's good for Rhode Island, and more importantly, it's good for Rhode Islanders. It makes investments for short-term and long-term that will help the state continue our momentum, and I'm very proud that I'm going to be able to sign it today. And before I sign, I want to hand over the mic over to Speaker Sakachi and thank him again for his leadership from the House that provided this result today, that we're here today. Both the Lieutenant Governor and I are here to witness a very good budget, and the Speaker and the Senate President have a great deal to do with bringing us to this moment. So, Speaker, thank you so much.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon, good morning. I guess it's afternoon. I'm still at 3 o'clock in the morning time from last night. I have some prepared remarks, and I'll talk about that, but I want to just take a moment. I had the pleasure of speaking earlier this morning with the Senate President. He couldn't make it today, but he said to me, he said, "Speaker, do me a favor." He said, "Pick up a cake, bring it to the governor. Today is his birthday. I'm borrowing it. So on behalf of the Senate President and the Speaker of the House, there's a chocolate cake for you, Governor. Happy birthday and many more." So I wanted to say that. The Senate President's not here, but I wanted to give him the recognition he deserves. And I want to thank the Governor for this signing this outstanding budget. It is a total collaborative effort between the Governor, the Senate President, the two finance chairs, Marvin Abney, Lou DePalma, and of course our two majority leaders, Lita Blazajewski and Lita Ryan Pearson, who have offered invaluable insight and assistance to the preparation of this budget. I'd particularly like to thank Chairman Abney and the entire Finance Committee, meeting for countless hours in public hearings, listening to all testimony, working tirelessly to get the best budget for the people of Rhode Island. There were many people who helped. I said Lita Blazajewski, Representative Cruz, freshman, very involved, very much in what's going on, can I help? And of course, a very special recognition to Sharon Reynolds Ferlin and her entire fiscal staff. I'm entirely and so proud of this budget. It supports the needs while being responsible and preparing us for the future. My top priority is continuing to address our housing crisis, and what we've done in this budget is identify the best ways to do that. This budget also includes strengthens our efforts to provide educational opportunities for K-12 and higher education. We support small businesses in Rhode Island, working Rhode Islanders, and retirees, and those struggling to meet their families' basic needs. Given the end of federal funding related to the pandemic, we need to plan not only for next year, but the following years, when we're not going to have the level of assistance or revenue from the federal government. We're spending our remaining COVID funding and our available revenue on one-time investments rather than creating long-term commitments that we simply cannot sustain. This budget is responsible, compassionate, and thoughtful. I want to thank everyone for their input. It was a true team effort. I just want to take a minute and highlight some major accomplishments in this budget. Housing. This adds $39 million to the governor's proposal for additional housing resources, including $1 million targeted for various new projects. It creates over 21 new FTEs, that's employees, in the Department of Housing to assist Secretary Pryor. There are life science funding initiatives to create a bioscience hub in Providence, Rhode Island that hopefully will rival some of our Massachusetts neighbors. We have raised the earned income tax credit from 15 to 16, a #1 ask of the Economic Institute for Progress. We've added $20 million for public schools, more money for multi-language learners and special education students. And with the help of Lita Pearson and Lita Blazajewski, we have adjusted the school funding formula. The governor's priority was after-school learning, and Governor, I'm happy to say that there's over $4 million in the budget for Learning 365. We've added $7 million additional in federal funding for Head Start and early child care. I see President Warner there from Rhode Island College. Not only did he get the Promise program, which is a scholarship program, he got the cybersecurity. For our hospitals, we instituted a $14 million one-time bonus that we were able to get from the federal government with a little bit of help with some state revenue. It's the current hospital funding formula. regarding reimbursement in uncompensated care. It's a one-time fix, but we took it to help our hospitals. And with the help of the Senate President's priority and Representative Vos from Cumberland, we were able to provide small tax relief in the form of the significant tax cut in the tangible taxes for all small businesses in Rhode Island. There are many, many things in the budget. I know the media will have some questions or ask about individual things that did or did not make it in the budget, and I'll be happy to talk to them. But it is with great pleasure that I turn this over, representing the Senate President, the Majority Leader of the Senate, Ryan Pearson. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, everyone, for being here. I want to start off by thanking the members of the Senate, but particularly the Senate Finance Committee and Chairman DePalma for many, many hours of hard work and diligence that allowed us to get to this point and get this budget on the governor's desk today. On behalf of President Ruggiero and our entire leadership team, Governor McKee, Speaker Shekarchi, our true partners in government, we want to thank you for your continued partnership, and we have a lot to be proud of in this budget. This budget continues a path that we set over the last few years of building budgets that invest in our future but care for Rhode Islanders today. This budget addresses many critical needs across our state, provides meaningful tax reform, makes critical investments in the future, but importantly, ensures a strong long-term financial footing. I'm extremely proud that it includes many Senate priorities. And while our work is not done, this budget does include the most significant reform to the education funding formula since its inception. And I want to particularly thank Leader Blazewski for working with me on this issue, and many members of the Senate and House who have been focused on this for many years. It also sets us up over the next 2 budget cycles to continue those efforts. As the Speaker mentioned, this budget also includes the Hope Scholarship, something that has been very, very important to me over many years, and I truly believe is the key for many Rhode Islanders to access that 4-year degree. And I want to give a special thank you to the Governor for his budget amendment on this issue this year that I really believe helped us get this over the finish line. Thank you, Governor. On the tax front, this budget does include a $50,000 tangible personal property tax exemption. This was championed by Senator Melissa Murray and Representative Brandon Vos. And the really important part of this is that about 75% of all Rhode Island small businesses will no longer pay any tangible tax, and every business will see their burden reduced. This is going to enable our businesses to continue to grow, continue to thrive in Rhode Island, but also importantly takes off a huge administrative burden both on those businesses and our cities and towns. And so thank you, Senator Murray and Representative Vos, for your leadership on that issue. I also want to thank Education Committee Chair Sandra Cano, our Environment and Agriculture Chair Alana DeMario, and of course our President Pro Tempore, Senator Hannah Gallo. Their continued leadership on issues of early childhood education and care have remained paramount. And this budget continues major investments in those programs and continues building them out. I also want to thank Senator Frank Chacon for his steadfast support of our public workforce. This budget includes additional appropriations to the pension fund and an important evaluation of our entire pension system to make sure that it's meeting the needs of all of our public servants. And lastly, this budget continues critical investments in our infrastructure, from roads, bridges, to ports everywhere from Galilee to Quonset to Providence. These are excellent investments in our state's future, and I know they will serve us well. These are just some of the accomplishments today, but this is a day that we can celebrate, a day that we have a great budget in front of us, and on behalf of the entire Senate, I want to thank everyone who played a role in this, and particularly all the folks behind the scenes, from the governor's staff to the speaker and the House staff to ours, who do so much work to actually get that giant document put together and on the desk today. And so thank you, everybody, and really appreciate everyone being here today. And it gives me great privilege to now introduce my former #1 partner in this place when I was Senate Finance Chairman, but Finance Chairman in the House, Representative Marvin Abney. Representative.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being out here this Sunday afternoon. I thought I had the ultimate 10 until I sit in that seat for about 10 minutes, and this is what you get, you know, when that happens. So thank you so much. First, I want to thank my tremendous colleagues in the House and partners for another successful legislative session and state budget. Speaker Sikarchi and Leader Blazejewski deserve our thanks for their collaborative and open approach to crafting a state budget that benefits all Rhode Islanders. Without their leadership, I fear this budget would not be as good as it is. I certainly want to thank the entire House Finance Committee, and especially Mr. Bob Carr, who's the attorney that kept me out of any kind of trouble during the hearings. He would say, Marv, this is what you should be doing here, what you should be doing there, and this is the way to do it legally. So Bob, I owe you a lot, and I thank you so much. I couldn't have done it without you. Because we spent countless hours and nights listening to testimony about what was important to the people of Rhode Island and what they needed in their daily lives. Sharon Reynolds and her entire staff in the House Fiscal deserve our thanks because they are the best in the business, and I know that. I happen to sit on a couple of national chairs, finance committees, and that sort of thing, and we've got staff that do things for us, but our staff here in Rhode Island is second to none. You got to believe me, they really are good. And we would not be standing here today with the kind of budget had we not had the thoughts and the work that they put into that. Finally, I want to thank President Ruggiero, Leader Pearson, and Chairman DePalma for their partnership in creating this budget. Their ideas, combined with our own, has truly led to a state budget that supports, protects, and nurtures our children, our families, our businesses, and our state. Responsible, compassionate, and thoughtful decisions were made to create a state budget that will benefit all Rhode Islanders, and this budget positions the state to be competitive in the future. Room 35, where we had all of our meetings, was a special place because that's where the public came in. We didn't just sit down and put this budget together, listening to each other. We listened to what the public said. People came in droves by the hundreds. Families, there were mothers with their children that came to testify on whatever bill was important to them that night. Some people came from work, still in their work clothes. Many people took public transportation. I had one lady who said, you know, Marvin, the 3 minutes that you gave me for me to tell my story, that's the first time in my life someone has given me 3 minutes to say anything about myself. So you can see the effect that it had on us when we were working. And we had hundreds of people to do that. And people came in wheelchairs with disabilities. This is Rhode Island. This is what we do. Finally, I was at the Veterans Home out in Bristol with the governor not long ago, and we were there because there was a dedication of work between a private company providing free internet for the veterans who live there. So it's a really nice place, but those veterans didn't have access to free internet. And as I was talking to some of the veterans, they said, you know, this is why I joined the military when I was 17 years old. You got to remember, they should have been 18. But in World War II, many did so when they were 17 years old. I wanted to do that so that here in Rhode Island, where I knew I would grow up if I survived and came back, I wanted to have a place better than what I left. And it's things like that, I think, that drives every person you see sitting here. While we may have our personal differences, when you sit down and talk to a veteran who has spent their lives making sure we have the kind of country and state that we have, and they're in a position now where they need our help, it happens. So I'm so proud to have worked with a team of people that not only take care of the veterans, but all of those who are in need. And this was a tough budget. We were up very late last night, but we got it done. And so as soon as I get done here, I'm going back to Newport and go to sleep. So thank you very much. And I would like to introduce now another young person who lives on the island where I do, and that's Senator, almost said Senator Pearson because we work so much, but Lou DePalma, who I've known for a long time and a great friend. If you want to talk to him, call him at 2 o'clock in the morning. He will answer his phone, I guarantee you. My friend Lou.
Chairman, thank you for the kind remarks. This budget is a result of months of hard work by Senate and House leaders, our two finance committees and staffs, and Governor McKee's administration. It's the product of input, as the chairman indicated, from countless government leaders, advocates, and concerned citizens. And it truly reflects the effort and spirit of cooperation that went into it. It really is an honor to serve as chair of the Finance Committee, and a responsibility that I take very seriously. I want to thank President Bergerio and Leader Pearson for their confidence, their support, and their leadership. I also want to thank my House counterpart, and most importantly, my friend, Marvin Abbey, who I've known for well over 20 years, prior to being on the Council of Newport, prior to joining the Senate, as he had. We both hail from the island. I want to thank him for all his support this session, and all the other legislators and staff members from both chambers who have given so much of their time and talent during the process. As was said, today we are passing a sound, innovative, and compassionate budget that helps Rhode Islanders now and positions our state for strong fiscal health in the future. We have responsibly used one-time funds to make one-time investments. We are also guarding our future with a new supplemental rainy day fund. We're putting our resources where they are most needed, helping small businesses with tangible tax relief, preserving and expanding important programs for early childhood, as was talked about earlier, and supporting a wide variety of initiatives to tackle the housing crisis, as the speaker talked about as well, and the governor. The budget also makes critical investments in families, children, and seniors, and would help stabilize and grow the critical, essential workforce that serves our most vulnerable populations. On behalf of the Senate Finance Committee, today I am very proud of the work we have done and the budget we are celebrating today. Thank you, and Governor, I think it's back to you.
All right, we're going to do what we came here to do, which is sign the budget.
I thought it was birthday cake.
Oh, yeah.
Birthday cake, correct?
No. You've already embarrassed me enough.
Follow me. Follow me. Find a way to get up there.
Happy birthday.
I think we can reverse it. Something about that. Which I think this budget does, right? It certainly says put the wave to the wind to our back. So I'm going to sign here a little bit. That's good. I'm going to get something.
Always, we always find it.
And to our financial chair. And who's up? Right there? Yep, you're right. You're ready. You're welcome. Good job. As Christine Yan says, it's one team. You're good.